Hello, I am back for number 18 Hearty block for the Sewcialites, and this one has a lot of pieces. So in your background color, you need two 2.5-inch squares, 4 2 by 3.5-inch rectangles, 4 2-inch squares, another 6 2-inch squares, and 4 1.25-inch squares. And then for your print, you're going to need two 2.5-inch squares, 2 by 9.5-inch rectangles, 4 2 by 3.5 rectangles, and 8 2-inch squares. For the 4 2-inch by 3.5-inch rectangles, I actually did 2 in my print color, my normal print color that's going to be this block, but then I also did another 2 in a pink color for the heart that's in the middle. So there will be 3 different colors here. So for the first step, we're going to be using our blocks A and F, which are our 2.5-inch squares in both our print and our background. I've already drawn a line on them across from corner to corner, and you're going to be placing these on top, good size together, on your background prints, like so. And then what you're going to do is, with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, you're going to be sewing on either side of these and then cut them in half, and then you're going to be trimming them down to 2-inch squares. So I'm going to do those first and then get them cut in half and pressed towards my print side and trimmed down to 2-inch squares. I'll be back when I've done that. Alright, so I am back with my trimmed 2-inch squares now. Now we're going to be working on our flying geese. So that will be your I of your print and your B of your background. So the B is the 2-inch by 3.5-inch rectangles, and the I is 2-inch squares. So we're going to pull these out. You'll have 4 of your background print. I'm going to lay them out like this. And then you're going to take your background, your print blocks, which are 2.5-inch. I've already drawn a line across them. And you are going to be putting them with your points, your line in this corner right here to here. Here to here is your line. And you're creating flying geese with these. And just for reference, this is the 9-inch block that I am making for the Sewcialites block. Okay, so once I've sewn directly on these lines, I'm going to cut off with a 1/4 inch seam allowance on all these, press them towards my print block, and then put my other blocks on the other side of these 4 rectangles to help make that flying geese pattern. So I will get back to you when I have done that. Alright, so I am back, and I have done one side of my flying geese that you can kind of see it a little better on this piece than on some of these other pieces here. So now I'm going to be taking my other 4 2-inch blocks with my line, diagonal line, and making sure that the line is pointed in towards this point to make a nice flying geese. So I'm going to put those on all of my blocks, and I'm going to sew directly on the line, cut with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and press towards my print block. You want to make sure you trim these because then you're going to have extra fabric here if you sew this next part on. So you want to make sure you trim that 1/4 inch seam allowance before you sew on the other block of your flying geese. Okay, so now that I have those all lined up, I'm going to sew directly on that line, trim a 1/4 inch seam allowance, press towards my print block, and I will be done with my flying geese, and I'll get back to you when I'm done with that. Alright, so I have gotten my flying geese done. I trimmed and pressed towards my print side. That's what they look like. And now I can set those aside and work on my next pieces. So the next pieces I am going to be doing are the D and G. So your G's are your 2 by 9.5-inch print strips here. And then also your D is your 4 2-inch strips. I've got them all out here, They have a line on them, diagonal corners and everything. And we're going to start off by putting this 2-inch block into the corner of our rectangle pieces. I'm going to sew directly on the line, cut with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, press towards my print side, and then I will get back to you and we'll put this other one on the other side like this. Making sure that your whites are going to be down in your lower left and right corners once you're done sewing and pressing. So once I have these sewn on the line, cut, and then press towards the print, I will show you the next step. Alright, so I have done the next pieces. So I have my 2 backgrounds up against my print blocks here, and these are done. So now we can get on to the hearts. So for the heart, I have the different colored pieces. So these are 2 of my 2-inch by 3.5 inch rectangles, and then I also need 2 Ds, which are 2 2-inch blocks, and then I will need my 4 1 1/4 inch squares, which are your E's for this next part. So I'll be putting these with a diagonal line that's already drawn from, and I will be sewing directly on that line here to here. And we're going to be making the shape of the heart now. So I'll put that on, and then once this is sewn, cut, and pressed, then the other 1 1/4 inch blocks will be going on the other side of that cut here and here to make a nice point like this for the top of the heart. And then at the bottom, these will be going on, but I'll get there once I've sewn these top parts. So we're going to sew these first 2 1 1/4 inch blocks into the corner top left hand of your rectangles. Right on the line, cut, then press towards your print block. Alright, so I have my first 1 1/4 inch blocks sewed on, pressed in towards my pink fabric, and I'm going to put the other ones with the line that's drawn across pointing in towards the other background fabric to make a nice tip for this part. Like this. Sew on the line, cut, press in towards your background, your print square, and then we'll be able to put our bottom of the heart on as well. So I'll get back to you when I've done that. Alright, so now I have both of my 1 1/4 inch blocks sewn on the top to make nice points for my hearts. And then for the second half, what you need to do is take your 2 pieces, kind of align them together like you're making the heart, and then make sure that your 2-inch blocks that have the lines are going to be making a point together like this. So when I put this down on my right hand, it's making a point from here to here to make the heart, and then my other one is having diagonal line pointing in towards the bottom right corner to make a nice heart shape. Let me show you up close. So there's that one, putting that there, and then there's this one. And then as you can see, when they get pushed together, you're going to be making sewing on this line directly, and to make a point, you're going to be making a nice heart shape. So I will sew on those lines and press in towards my pink fabric, and I'll get back to you when I'm done, and we'll have the heart complete. All right, so now I am done with this part, and we have made the heart. So, as you can see, when you put them together, they're a nice heart shape. Now we can actually start laying out our block. So this is going in the middle as usual, and then you have two other H's that you did in either the same background print, but I chose to do a different color for my heart, but they would be the same if you're just doing one full print color. So you take these two, pop them on either side of the heart, and then you're going to take flying geese, and they're going to be pointing, the tip of your triangle is going to be pointing in towards your heart like this on both sides. And then, once this whole entire row is getting sewn together, then you will be having these blocks right here with the tips of your background fabrics pointing down like this. And then also you take the other one and it'll be placed here like this. So once you sew these together, it will shrink it enough so that it will fit into this 9.5-inch block strip area, and then you'll join those together. And then for these ones, the last two of your flying geese, you're going to have the triangle point tip pointing in towards the hearts on either side like this. And then you're going to have your 4-inch blocks and your 2-inch solids of your backgrounds in here as well. So these are getting put with the print block down on your bottom right hand corner for the top, like this for 2 of them. And then on the other side, the print is going to switch over to your bottom left hand of the block up here, like this. And then you take 2 of your background blocks, solid blocks, and these will be on the edge up here. Oh, sorry, I did that wrong. You take 2 of these away from the pop, and then you have just 2 of your 2-inch half blocks up here with your flying geese to have 4 triangle points total. And then you will have your 2 blocks down here, and then for this area down here you have your triangle pointing in, and then you're going to have the print piece pointing into your top left hand corner on the left side, and then the print in the top right hand corner of your right side to make nice points down at the bottom. And then you also take your 2 background solids and place them down here. So I'll be sewing this row together, this row together, this row together before then piecing these pieces together. So I'll get back to you when I have all of these sewn together. Alright, so I am back and I have all of my strips sewn together. So now I can start piecing the top to the bottom. So I will be folding this top piece up over my bottom piece right here, pinning it, and then sewing with a 1/4-inch seam allowance, pressing it probably open, and then going on to the next few steps. So I'll get back to you when I've sewn that top part on. Alright, so I got this top piece sewed together now, so now I'm going to take it, and I steamed it with the seams open on this 1/4-inch seam allowance, but here's the top. I'm going to fold it down now onto my next piece, line those pieces up, possibly pin, and sew with a 1/4-inch seam allowance, press it open, and then come back to you. Alright, so I have this top piece now. Now I'm going to fold this down onto the bottom piece right here for our next thing. Pin, sew across with a 1/4-inch seam allowance, probably press it open, and I'll get back to you. For this top part right here, I actually pressed it in towards that long 9.5-inch block of the print, just because it would make it easier for all these little seams that are right here. So I'll get back to you once I've done a 1/4-inch seam allowance on here and pressed it. Alright, so I am back and I have my last piece that I need to sew on. So for the top part, I pressed it out towards that 9.5-inch block again for the bottom, and now I'm going to take this top part fold over onto this last strip pin. So with the 1/4 inch seam allowance, and for this bottom seam, I'll probably iron it open kind of like what I did on the top seam up here. So I'll come back to you when I'm done with that, and we'll be done with the Hearty block. Alright, so this is the final picture of the Hearty block number 18 for the Sewcialites. As you can see, we have the heart in the middle, and we've got nice points all over. Just take your time with sewing your diagonals, so that way you don't have so much uneven edges, and just go along for the ride. It's a lot of piecing, I know, but it actually is a pretty cute block once it's done. So on the back side, you can see that I pressed out towards this block and this block for the middle part, and then I did open seams for this bottom area that have really bulky seams. I may eventually actually just press them this way if it makes it easier, but I was just trying to make it lay a little flatter for right now. But before I piece everything together, I'll be sure to fix that if I want to change it. So that was the Hearty block. I hope you found this video helpful, and feel free to like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more tutorials on the Sewcialites. And also just pondering, I know we're kind of halfway through this whole entire quilt along, thinking about what they're going to do next, like what next quilt along should I be signing up for. So any thoughts or ideas would be awesome. Please leave a comment in the section if you have any ideas. And thanks everybody, have a good day.